I'm Jordan Banderas, also known as the Bad Influence. And before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button so you don't miss out on any episodes. So, on today's episode, I want to ask you a question that I was asked recently. And that question is it that important to work on yourself? Now, for me, the answer is an absolute hell yes. It's very important to work on yourself because that's what's going to help you keep going when life gets rough, because it will happen. Now, the reason that this question came to be is because at work, they're offering this new program where you can get free therapy and wherever, and they're recommending us to take it because there's a lot of people that have worn out and that are actually getting sick from overworking because there's a lot of overtime at work right now. So they have been offering this. They have like pamphlets all over the place, all over their warehouse. They're like, oh, take advantage of this program, take advantage of that program, whatever, So I was talking to one of my friends who actually missed a lot of work because unfortunately he injured himself while working. And the reason why he injured himself is because he was so tired that he didn't see a pallet, he tripped, and unfortunately he ended up hurting himself. Now, when he came back after a few days, I asked him, like, what did you do all this time that you were out? He's all like, oh, nothing, I got some rest and I feel good. So I was like, okay, so are you going to work on yourself now, or are you going to be able to take more rest, like give yourself more time to rest? And he said this, and this is why I want to talk about this, because he's like, no, I need to work. I need to make money. I need to take care of my family. I have mouths to feed. I have people to take care of. So I can't take care of myself. So we were just talking about this, and he ended up asking me this question, the question that I mentioned, which is it that important to work on yourself? And I gave him the same answer. Hell yes, it is. So in today's episode, I want to talk about this and give you my opinion as to why it's important, okay? So what I told my coworker about working on yourself is that when you're tired, when you're exhausted, if you don't take any time for yourself, or you don't find a way to, recover or recharge, you're going to get worn out. You're going to be so tired at work that you're going to hurt yourself, kind of like what happened in this case. And if you get injured, you're not going to be able to take care of the people that you need to take care of. You're not going to be able to feed the mouths that you need to feed. He was like, oh, that's true. So I explained to him that working on yourself, or self-care, because that's also what people call it, it's important because in my situation, doing this, taking care of myself, working on myself, and aiming to become better within myself helped me become stronger mentally, physically, and emotionally. However, it is fucking hard because you have to go through so many things. You have to literally look inward, not outward. You have to look at everything that's happening in your life, everything that has happened in your life, and figure out how to deal with it. Figure out a strategy or a routine that actually helps you deal with everything, especially right now. With everything that's happening with the economy is like right now a fucking roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Inflation keeps going up. So there's a lot of stress going around, right? I feel stress every time I go grocery shopping. I see the bill getting higher and higher and higher while I get less food. And probably you have seeing the same thing. So that is stressful, especially when you have to take care of your family, right? But here's some of the things that I have done, and I have understand this for a little bit because I just learned this not too long ago, within the last 6 years. So for the first 30 years of my life, I didn't take care of myself. I didn't care about myself, but I was so tired. So what I started doing in this situation is that I started taking 5 to 10 minutes every day to work on myself. That's a good start, at least for me. So you don't have to go hours at the time on working on yourself. You can just start small. Start with little steps. Don't go all out when you have other things to do. Just take those 5-10 minutes. Do something that helps you recharge. That's one of the things that I told my coworkers, and I tell people. I even tell that to my wife, because you have to make time for yourself. And the most important part about working on yourself is that it's going to be challenging, like I mentioned, because a lot of the times when you start working on yourself, you're going to realize that you have to rebuild yourself from the ground up. You're going to have to figure out what stresses you, what makes you tired, what brings you down. So you have to literally rebuild yourself up from the ground up. You have to build mental fortitude, physical strength, and emotional strength. Because when you do this, by doing this practice, you can actually start to prevent burnout, because you're going to have to learn how to say no to certain things, like overworking yourself. Like if you're feeling tired and your work keeps offering you overtime or asking you if you want to stay longer at work so you can actually make more money, yes, that sounds very good for you, but in the long run, if you don't take care of yourself, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna end up in the hospital from stress-related issues. Or sometimes this is what happens. You can end up having a heart attack. Stress can cause a heart attack. So if you stress out for years, for a long period of time, and this has been proven, the research is out there, you can Google it, you can actually have a heart attack in the long run. It may not happen right now, but it's going to happen down the road in a few years. That's why I started working on myself too, because I was like, I had this heart issue. Well, yes, I had this heart issue a few years ago, and it turned out to be a nutritional deficiency. So I started eating better. My heart is doing better, and I've been able to take care of myself because of that. But here's one thing that is going to happen when you start working on yourself. Doing this is going to allow you, or actually force you, to set boundaries with people, with certain things, like maybe you won't have to drink as much. Maybe you won't have to smoke as much. You're going to have to set boundaries like that. You can go from, let's say, 7 cigarettes in one day to 5. And then you go down to 4. And then you go down to 3. And then just down to 1. That's part of self-care. That's part of working on yourself. Setting boundaries like that. Another thing that this does is that it helps you build self-esteem. Because when you start doing hard shit, like cutting off some things that are bad for you, you're going to start feeling good. You're like, damn, I can do this. I can actually take care of myself. I can actually, quit doing this thing that is actually harming me and actually causing problems that I may not see right now, but in the long run, they may take me out, It can actually help you build self-worth. Because then you're going to see that you can do hard shit. You're going to be able to learn something. You learn things about yourself that you didn't know you knew before. And there's so many things that you're gonna learn and that is gonna help you in the long run in your life, but it all depends on what you need to work on first. Because you have to start small. Like I said, you have to pick one thing that you need to work on. The way that I did this is that I started working on myself. First, it was the emotional part because I was emotionally unstable. So after my wife got sick, my emotions were out of control. I couldn't handle the stress. I couldn't do anything. I was like a deer on headlights. So I started working on myself emotionally. That's why I went to therapy. And once I got that taken care of, then I started building mental fortitude. I started, developing my mind to get stronger, learning new things, doing all of these things. And now, finally, that I build my emotional resilience and my mental resilience, I'm starting to work on my body. So I started small, and that started 6 years ago. So I've been working on this for a really long time. So I want to stress this. It takes time. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And one of the things that happened when I started doing this, I noticed a significant change in my outlook on life. I no longer felt like I was simply taking punches from life. Instead, I started punching back. I started, saying like, you know what, life? I let you punch me long enough. It's time for me to punch back. It's time for me to build a life that I'm proud of. And I started doing that. That's what mental resilience and emotional resilience has helped me with. Now, it's the physical part, which is hard. Because right now, I'm out of shape. Well, actually, I am in shape. And that shape is round right now. So I have to change that. And it is hard because I've been trying to control my intake of food, which is kind of hard because I love food. I'm a stress eater. So every time I feel stress, I want to eat. But I have to stop myself from doing that. So it is hard. So, like I was saying, I have experienced so many benefits. One of the benefits is that I've been able to stop myself from eating every time I feel stressed. So that's actually pretty good. And one of the things that I will recommend to you is that you have to make the time to work on yourself. Don't simply go along with life. Don't let life punch you and you just take the punch on your face and be like, oh my gosh, life punched me. I don't know what to do. No, punch back. But in order for you to punch back, you have to start working on yourself. You have to become stronger, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So instead of just going along with life, aim to become emotionally, physically, and mentally strong, because with everything that may happen in your life, you have to be ready to take those punches. And when you're ready to take those punches and you're ready to face life head on, you can actually tell yourself, this is my fucking life. And no matter what happens, I can get through this. Life can't punch me as much as it wants, because sometimes it does. Sometimes you may feel like for years you're being punched by life, like one thing after thing, another thing after another thing keeps happening, and you don't know what to do. But when you build yourself, you start punching back, and you take control of your life. But what I want you to do as well, and this is like I mentioned why I did, is that first you need to recognize what area you need to work on first. It could be the emotional part, the mental part, or the physical part. Just pick one of those three areas. and then go hard on that. Start working hard on it. If you need help emotionally, figure out a way that can help you handle your emotions. It could be therapy, it could be just talking to a friend, writing down your emotions, writing down your thoughts. Just figure out a way to do it. Then mentally, one of the things that I do, I actually start reading books. I started reading books. I started reading things that stimulate my brain. And that's what I want you to do. Stimulate your brain to think on solutions instead of focusing on problems. That's what's going to help you in the long run. Because if you start reading books that stimulate your brain into thinking how to come up with solutions or ideas, anytime you come up to a problem or a problem shows up in your life, you already made that commitment to start thinking of solutions. So you start looking for the solution right away instead of focusing on the problem, which is what a lot of people do right now, where we just focus on the problem and we feel bad because that problem is happening, but we don't think about finding a solution. So that's one thing that books have helped me, especially books like right now I'm reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's one of the books that I will recommend you to read at least once in your life because it has so much knowledge. It shows stories from Henry Ford, Thomas Alva Edison, and all these people that became rich that came from nothing. And it also shows how they came up with solutions when they were finding problems. That's very important right now. Come up, stimulate your brain, and then work on your physical part, which is something that I started doing right now. And one of the things that I've been doing, it's kind of like a combination for all three, is that I started taking cold showers. And it has been life changing because one of the things that the cold showers are going to do is that as soon as you feel the cold on your body, you're going to try to run. You want to get out of it. You're like, fuck this. Your mind gets or your brain gets triggered into thinking that you need to survive, so you need to run. But if you force yourself to actually stay there for as long as you can, you're telling your brain, I got this. You're telling your emotions, I got this. Sit the fuck back. I got this. And then you're telling your body that you're comfortable with doing hard things or you're comfortable with the uncomfortable, because the cold literally will make you uncomfortable. It's the hardest part of my day. That's one of the things that I do as soon as I wake up. I have this morning routine, which is something that I also recommend you to do. Create a morning routine where you start either by reading, meditating, doing something, okay? The way that I do it, I take my cold shower. Right now I'm doing 3 minutes and 10 seconds. When I tell people that, they're like, oh, that's not too much. It's like, motherfucker, 3 minutes and 10 seconds of a cold shower feels like 3 hours. When I first started doing that, I started with 15 seconds. And I wanted to run. I was scratching the floor and scratching the walls. I was like, ah. It was intense because 15 seconds felt like an eternity. Now imagine 3 minutes and 10 seconds. I have been able to do this in the last 4 years. That's when I started it. So it's been hard. And then once I'm done with that, I read a book. And then once I'm done with that, I meditate. So I take care of all three parts that I need to work on: the physical, emotional, and mental. That's what I do. That's why you need to have a routine that will help you work on all three. So like I have said, it's not gonna be easy, but it can be done. You can do it, and you need to do it in order for you to become the best version of yourself or be able to get to whatever challenge life throws at you. It's one of those things that you also need to understand that you need to take your own time doing this, and you need to do it at your own pace. That's why I said take 5 to 10 minutes. Start small, because this is a lifelong journey. It's not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna do this in for 6 months, and then it's gonna be done, and then I'm gonna be good. No, that's not what happens. Because once you stop working on yourself, what happens is that you start to get comfortable, and when you start to feel comfortable, all that work that you have put on yourself goes away, because as soon as you start feeling comfortable, you're like, this is good. I don't need to do that again. I don't need to take a cold shower. I don't need to read. I don't need to meditate. I don't need to do this. And you start creating a bad habit. So by creating that bad habit of getting comfortable all the time, you literally undo everything that you have done up to that point to feel uncomfortable. So in my opinion, and this is what I have learned from people like David Goggins, Tom Bilyeu, Tony Robbins, all these people, that you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because life is uncomfortable. You never know what has happened or what's going to happen in life. So always be prepared to be uncomfortable. That's my recommendation for you. That's what I have been doing for the past 6 years. And what I want you to understand is that you have to take this journey in order for you to not let life punch you to the ground. Because I've seen people, and this was me for 30 years. I let life punch me to the ground, and I was just taking punches and kicks from life, just literally on the ground. I curled up into a ball. I was like, life is punching me, until I had to punch back. And when I started doing that, my life started to change. And I want you to change your life, because that's the best thing that you can do. Not just for you, but for the people that you need to take care of. Your wife, your kids, your family. You start building a business, you start building something, you start creating generational wealth. That's important. That's the extreme case of working on yourself, is that you're gonna get so fucking comfortable and so ready for anything that's uncomfortable that you're gonna say to yourself, I got this. I got this. And pretty much that's what I wanted to share on today's episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the growth and the feedback. It's thanks to you that I have been able to grow the podcast to what it is right now. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for everything. And remember to share, like, and subscribe. That way we can actually reach more people and help them change their lives. And don't forget that we are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The link is in the episode's description. And here are my final thoughts. By working on yourself, the right people you need in your life will show up. And the negative influences in your life will leave you alone. And have a great day.